or the other thing is the inferiority complex that we feel of, ooh, we come from developing nations, they have more power, they have more influence, instead of realizing that in the kingdom of God, we're all made in his image. Therefore, we all have influence, and we all are able to bring the gospel to the nations. It's not just one or. In fact, I really try to encourage Latinos because, especially, for example, in the 1040 window, it's easier for us to go. It's easier for me to fit in than for you to fit in.
Right, absolutely.
Right? And that gives you influence. But people don't realize that. And maybe, and especially because if you go to some countries, so I remember being in Thailand, and people were always like, ooh, the Americans, but it was kind of like they were wanting to get something from the white people, from the Caucasians that spoke Spanish. Whereas with me, I built relationships. I still have friends from there, like from a trip from 3 years ago.
Right.
My American friends had a really hard time, especially like white blonde. They just stood out so much.
It's just different. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think they have a similar experience that Latin America has, where their paradigm is it's the white missionary that comes and does for us. They come to do, and they don't have a box for you of some kind of historic pattern of, well, here's what Hondurans do when they come here. Yeah. Because there's probably not been that many Hondurans go there on mission.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, they never know where my country is, which is always a fun conversation of showing them in a map and whatever. But my skin color, hair color, I blend in a little bit just easier. Right. And granted, not every Central American looks like me. But there is, even in just saying that you're not from the States, it kind of like for example, in Thailand, it seemed like they felt like the playing field was leveled instead of feeling like America was here and Thailand was here to some regards. And so it opened doors for relationships for me that were way more easier than for the Americans who had to overcome the whole like political stuff or so many other layers of history, right? For me, I was so new. They had no grid. And so that's also interesting. And I think even for like going to the developing nations, when they hear of someone that comes from a developing nation, to them it opens up this world of opportunity. If they can do it, why can I not do it?
Right.
Which I love that. I mean, that's what I hope that people see in me. And I remember actually the reason I stayed in YWAM was because I met Central American missionaries. And that broke my paradigm. I lived in the States for 5.5 years, went to college, like had gone on a couple of mission trips, but in my mind, I couldn't be a missionary. I didn't realize that was an actual paradigm I had until I came to Costa Rica and I saw Central American missionaries loving their people, doing things well, and expanding the kingdom, living missionally, and I thought, wait, this is cool. This is what I want, or what I've been hoping for. I didn't even know I could do it. And so when I met them and I saw what they were doing, it just blew my mind. And so the hope is that as people see Honduran in missions, one of the most violent countries in the world, one of the poorest countries in the world too, then people will say, I can be a part of God's kingdom also and be part of the mission. Instead of thinking, well, I don't know that the Lord's going to provide for me. But rather, if he provided for a Honduran, like he can provide for you.